I'm wearing a motorcycle jacket. And not just any jacket, but the REVIT Downburst H2O jacket, which REVIT developed in collaboration with American retailer motorcyclegear.com. To my left is a Downburst in the sand colorway, and to my right is REVIT's new Tornado 4 jacket. And together, these jackets tell a story. You've probably heard this growing up, but people come in all shapes and sizes, and these differences aren't just about genetics. They're influenced by everything from our environment to our diets and our daily habits, and even our history. And one of the most interesting ways to track these changes is by looking at how average body shapes and sizes have shifted over time. Take height, for example. It may surprise you to learn that the tallest people in the world today are the Dutch, with the average Dutch man standing at around 6 feet tall and Dutch women not far behind. But that wasn't always the case. In fact, during the 19th century, it was the Americans who held the title of the tallest population in the world. Back then, the average American male stood at around 5'8", and this advantage was often attributed to the abundance of food and the healthier living conditions in the New World at the time. But over the past century, that trend has reversed. While other populations like those in the Netherlands grew taller, Americans began to plateau. And today, the average American man is only about 5'9", noticeably shorter than his Dutch counterpart. This change can be traced to factors like diet, lifestyle changes, and rising levels of obesity in the United States, which affect not only height, but overall body proportions as well. That said, genetics isn't the whole story when it comes to height. I'm a great example of this. I stand at around 6'2", yet my parents were shorter and my grandparents were noticeably shorter than that. A lot of factors beyond just our genes influence how we grow, including nutrition and even the healthcare we receive. These same factors affect how our bodies change over time, which brings us to an interesting point. The gear we rely on for protection is often designed with a certain body type in mind. This is especially true for personal protective gear like motorcycle jackets. Manufacturers tend to design products based on the body shapes and sizes that they're most familiar with, usually those of the people around them. For example, REVIT, a Dutch company, designs gear with the tall, slender Dutch build in mind. But when this gear is sold in places like the United States, where body shapes can be quite different, the fit can feel off. That brings us to a bigger question. What happens if you really love a particular piece of motorcycle gear, but it doesn't fit properly because you're from a completely different ethnic or genetic background from the people who made it? Now, until we elect a president who will make America Dutch-shaped again, most manufacturers will simply tell you to size up if their gear doesn't fit. Retailers will often suggest trying a different domestic brand with fewer features and armor made out of sus materials. But there's something special going on here, because for the first time, a global manufacturer of motorcycle gear and a local distributor have worked together to address some fitment issues. Motorcyclegear.com and REVIT collaborated to create an improved version of the Tornado 3 jacket specifically for the average American body shape. For instance, Americans often carry more weight in their midsection or have broader shoulders. This can make finding gear that fits properly a bit tricky. In fact, studies have shown that over the years, the average American waist size has grown considerably. The average American male waist size is now 40 inches, significantly wider than many European averages. At the same time, American men and women tend to have broader shoulders, which further complicates the search for well-fitting gear. So while European gear, like REVIT's standard designs, may offer excellent protection and functionality, it doesn't always accommodate the broader and shorter frame that's more common in the US. This is where the REVIT Downburst stands out. It was designed with these body shapes in mind. The Downburst isn't just a scaled-up version of the European jacket. It's been carefully crafted to fit the broader, stockier build that's more typical of American riders. The extra room in the shoulders and chest means that you don't have to feel restricted while you're in the riding position, and the more generous cut around the waist prevents the uncomfortable tightness and bunching that some European jackets can cause when worn by broader individuals. This means that the Downburst does not fit like a typical REVIT jacket, in spite of REVIT's published size chart. In fact, these jackets fit much more similar to what you would find in equivalent US designated sized clothing. For most North Americans, this means that you will be able to buy the size that you normally wear. And in other words, if you want a tighter European fit typical of most REVIT jackets, Motorcycle Gear would suggest that you go down in size. Here's me, for example, in the large size of the Downburst. For the record, I would not fit comfortably into the large Tornado. And the Downburst also fits me great, simply because I have broader shoulders, and the fact that I have a narrower waist isn't a problem at all. And this isn't just a matter of comfort. It's about safety too. Motorcycle jackets need to fit correctly to ensure that the built-in armor stays in place during a crash. A jacket that's too tight can limit movement, while one that's too loose can cause the armor to shift, leaving you vulnerable. The Downburst strikes a balance by providing room where it's needed without compromising the close protective fit that a motorcycle jacket requires. Like the Tornado, the Downburst is also part of REVIT's H2O collection, meaning that within the outer shell is a removable, full-sleeve, 2-in-1 thermal and waterproof liner. The waterproofing is achieved through a Hydrotex mesh that keeps you dry while allowing for some breathability, so you're not sacrificing comfort for weather protection. This makes the Downburst a 3 to 4 season jacket capable of handling spring, fall, and some winter riding on top of the summer riding that it was designed for. The versatility is key here because it allows riders to adapt to varying temperatures while staying comfortable and protected. With that said, I'm personally not a fan of waterproof liners being incorporated into the interior of a jacket instead of something you wear over the jacket, because that just means that the jacket will get soaked and heavy with water, but you can easily remedy all of this by carrying a cheap rain cover with you. You might ask then, what's the point of the Downburst liner if you have a cover? Well, it's actually also a destination liner, meaning that you can have an extra waterproof jacket that you can wear off the bike too. The Downburst shell is a ripstop polyester taken from REVIT's popular Cayenne Pro jacket line with large mesh panels on the front, back, and arms taken from the Eclipse 2 jacket line. The result is a high airflow but sturdy jacket styled to be an evolution of the Tornado 3 jacket. The mesh on the Downburst is a tighter weave than the typical Tornado mesh, meaning that it breathes, but you don't feel like you're wearing fishnets. It's also equipped with Sea Level 2 armor in the shoulders and elbows, ensuring that protection doesn't take a backseat to comfort. And if you're looking for even more coverage, there's a pocket in the back to add a optional Sea Level 2 back protector with 2 pockets for divided Sea Level 1 chest protectors, and even a zipper connection to link your jacket to certain REVIT pants to prevent the jacket from riding up your back and exposing you to road rash or gravel in the event of a low side. The cuffs of the jacket have dual hook and loop closures for adjustment and zippered openings to make getting the jacket on over gauntlet gloves easy. Further adjustability is at the forearm with a sliding strap, bicep as a snap flap, waist with another sliding strap, and collar in the form of a new flexi strap closure that's been redesigned to hold its position more firmly once you set it in the desired spot. And the flexi strap can also be pinned back to hold the collar open if you're like me and you hate it when collars chafe against your neck. All the zippers on the Downburst have large pulls that are easy to work with a glove. Both the Downburst and the Tornado 4 are technically successors to REVIT's popular Tornado 3, but there are some key differences. First off, the mesh, as previously discussed, is a lot less see-through on the Downburst. The Downburst also just has a much larger surface area comprised of mesh near your armpits, where a lot of heat accumulates. The Downburst also has a 2-in-1 liner, meaning that the thermal filling in the waterproof liner of that jacket isn't removable, while the Tornado 4's thermal lining can be detached from the waterproof lining, which honestly looks kind of like a parka once it's out of the jacket. The way the liners attach to the jackets are also completely different. The Downburst uses the tried and true and more technically difficult way of using 2 zipper connections and several hook and snap closures to close the liner to the jacket. The Tornado 4 just uses snaps, and they're not particularly strong, so they keep getting undone when you're just trying to take the jacket off normally. With that said, the Tornado 4's waterproof liner does look really modern and sleek. The Downburst thermal liner has this faux motorcycle jacket look to it, which looks kind of cool from a distance, but faux upon close inspection. One downside of the Downburst is also that the liner is actually incredibly warm, uncomfortably so, meaning that if you are riding on a warm rainy day, well, you'll be soaked regardless of whether you use the liner or not. But in the wintertime, I think it's great. And finally, the biggest difference is the price. As of the time of filming, you can pick up a Downburst for $199. The Tornado 4, however, is $369. For under $200, you're getting an impressive range of features from waterproofing to mesh breathability, making it a value-packed choice for riders on a budget. Overall, the REVIT Downburst H2O jacket hits the sweet spot between technical performance and everyday wearability, but most importantly, it highlights just how great we can be when we work together to overcome our differences and understand what makes us similar and what makes us unique. We all want to ride in comfort with the knowledge that we're safe, that we can adapt to changing conditions and look good at the same time. Whether you're a city commuter, an adventure rider crossing multiple climes across a continent, or someone who just takes weekend rides, this Dutch jacket provides the versatility and protection Americans want and need, without feeling like we're sacrificing style or comfort, while giving us the most American thing in the world: freedom. The freedom to buy European instead of American.
Colors of white and gray behind an empty space. Can't always tell what you're